Okay, I'm trying. I think it helps if I make a goal for myself for the week, because now that market is done and I have no more designer orders, it's easy, which is what I did this morning, to putz around and not get a lot done. I was even doing some researching online, but that is really not a priority. But when it was cold and windy this morning, the warm weather just moved in and it's way easier to work. So I'm setting goals this week. I want to finish getting cover crop seed in the ground. It is November. It's hard to believe that it's November already. So it's getting a little bit late to seed cover crop seed. So I did switch to, I just finished up the last of my bag of wheat, and so I have that in the blue pail, as well as I switched to winter rye, which has an easier time germinating if the temperature does get a little bit colder. And then I'm doing the same mix of all the other cover crop. The little seeds, I find they germinate so fast, and we have a little bit warmer weather again tomorrow and Wednesday. So I just mix them into, I don't care if they germinate or not. I don't even care how big they get. And I don't care if they don't germinate till next spring, because they are way easier to pull than the weeds I have. So I'd rather have them growing than some of the other plants taking up that space. But I'm pretty positive. Everything's been germinating so far. It looks good. I have cover crop in a variety of stages. The stuff I seeded at the beginning of September is huge and super crowded, but I love it. I think it's so beautiful to come out and see rows of green growing right now. I wish I had more seeded, but yeah, so I have some really big and I have some in smaller stages, and then the stuff on the daily rows is just popping up. So that's great. Hopefully it can get a good jump on growth before the really cold weather hits. But lots of living roots going into the winter. That's my goal. I just want to get my soil better, better, better. Okay, so I thought I'd give you a closer look at my rows here, because I know I showed you the seed and when I seeded it, and I had to go back on a video. It's the first week of September that I put the seed on the ground for these 3 rows. So this is 2 months of growth. September was fairly warm in October. So obviously the mustard and these 2 are mustard. Mustard's already starting to flower. I just seen it on one plant. And the radish have overtaken these 3 rows. By far, they're the biggest. They're what's giving the height here. There is oats in here. It didn't germinate as well, and that's okay. Obviously, there's lots of growth here. My goal was not to have an empty bed and not to have weeds germinated and being able to flourish. So the mustard is new for me. Obviously germinates really well, grows really well in September and October, and is, I think, the bulk of what we're looking at here. There is a lot of radish. Radish can get really big if it's given the space. So I overseeded this, so they're not very huge. They can just be enormous if they have lots of room to grow. So, but they germinate really easily. That's why I love it. And I just threw in seeds. I just wanted to crowd this out with good plants. So there's mustard, radish, the oats. There is the phacelia. These are the 2. I'm pretty sure this is the phacelia. It's more of a lacier plant. So obviously getting overcrowded by everything else in here. It's supposed to be a great root builder. Soil builder because of its root system. I just couldn't get the roots out right now because it's so dry in here. There's also clover and peas. I think that's it, clover and peas. The peas and clover, they're in here, they're just really small. So I'm gonna have to show you another time, because what's great about clover and peas is that it builds nitrogen in your soil. And on their roots, they have little nodules that make nitrogen. So that's why I love them. I'm hoping that if the weather gets cold, then the oats and peas, then the peas and the crimson clover will take off and continue to grow, because it's pretty cold hardy. So the mustard I'm trying, because it's supposed to help with fungus, if you can keep the leaves and the plant residue in the soil. Radish can help with your hard pan and also bring nutrients up. Phacelia, again, I think has a really good root system for building your soil. Same as the oats. Yeah, I think that's everything that's in here. I'm just happy it's growing. It doesn't matter to me that one is doing better than the other, and the chickens just seem to love it all. So it's lots of feed for them, and hopefully while they're eating in here, they're also pooping in the rows. I'm finally getting around to planting these peonies. They've been sitting in the barn. I bought them a couple weeks ago, kind of on a whim. I told myself I was not allowed to buy any more peonies. And if I ever did, I just wanted to, I don't want to have crazy amount of variety. I just want to have lots of certain kinds. It just makes for more efficiency when I'm harvesting. They're all ready at about the same time. It's easier to offer them to the designers because anyway, I did a whole bunch of things that I wasn't going to do. This is a box of 100. I have no idea what variety they are. They're all mixed up. They're all different sizes. There's small ones, there's bigger ones. And because I wasn't planning on doing that this year, I didn't really have a spot prepared to plant peonies. So this was a Lisianthus row. I'm trying to weed it as I go. I think it drains pretty good here. So I thought I'll just squish them in here, and then as I figure out what variety they are, and as they get larger over the next few years, I might transfer them into the other patch and try and keep them a little bit organized. So we'll see. The other problem is that I was going to do this earlier in the week, and it's been so dry that I couldn't even get the shovel in the ground. So I think Tuesday, I just threw the 2 soaker hoses on. So it's definitely moist again, and it's crumbling up pretty good. And I could kind of get the shovel in, not super far, but enough to get the roots in. And I don't know if you have a peony plant in your garden and you want to move it or split it up. Fall really is the best time to move your peonies around. Dig them up. I think it gets that cooler season for them to get established and get rooted in. So I've only dug one large peony up. It was huge. I really loved it, and it actually, I think I did more damage to it, and it just has never recovered. I planted it back into a row. I split it up into 8 plants. And the row that I put it into was way too wet. So I actually need to move it because I think it's been 10 years and it's just not thriving. So number one, don't plant peonies where they need soil that's going to drain well. And then they also need spots. Some people talk to me at market and their peonies aren't blooming. They also need full sun. So if it's not blooming, there's something wrong with the spot you put it in. And it's likely that it's not full sun, or they're just not happy because they're too wet. So dig them up. This is the time, and move it again. Right? And then when you move it, they can be really awkward if they're big, but you want root, and then you're looking for the eyes, these little pinky red spots. These are all eyes where they're going to put up a stem and maybe a bloom. This was in the box, and it's a chunk of root, definitely, but I cannot find an eye on it. So maybe there's one hidden, but I would split it up into pieces that have 5 to 10 eyes on them. You can, when you order peonies, you usually get them, you buy them as 2 to 3 eye size, sometimes 5 to 6, and then you're paying more money for the eyes. But if you don't want to wait years for your peony to get a decent size again, leave enough eyes on it, because some of these are crazy small. So there is 2 eyes on here. But this is going to take a number of years before this becomes a decent sized peony plant. The only benefit is that it's very small and easy to plant, but you have to be patient if you're going to be putting in small peony roots. And the last thing I should say is don't plant them too deep. That would be another reason why they might not be blooming well for you. 1 to 2 inches below the top of the soil is all you need. Okay, so I got the peonies in the ground the other night. I also top dressed the row with a decent amount of mushroom compost, and then I sprinkled on white clover seed because I really want to try doing peonies a little bit differently, and I've heard some people try this. I think hopefully it would eventually help with weeding under the peonies, maybe improve the soil, and what I really hope for is easier fall cleanup. So I'm only doing the 1 row, and that's kind of why I decided to buy more peony roots when I really shouldn't have. So that's done. I just locked up the chickens in the coop here because I have 4 more rows that I want to sprinkle cover crop seed on. I don't think I'll get them top dressed with mushroom compost tonight because I think I have like maybe 20 minutes of sunlight, but just these 4 rows behind me here, the chickens have been on them all week. So I didn't do it earlier, but if I do that tonight, then I am done with cover cropping for this year. And it's supposed to rain tomorrow and tomorrow night, so it's like perfect weather for hopefully them germinating pretty quickly. So yeah, so that will be done this week. And then I also finished collecting leaves. I think I found all the leaves I could find on my property that were easy to find and dumped them under the tarp on top of the dahlias. So hopefully they keep that ground from freezing, and we'll see what the winter brings. Yeah, it was a great week. I even went away. This is kind of why I'm doing this at night, because Bob and I went away to visit my son for the last day and a half. We just got back. Otherwise I would have worked on this earlier today, but that's okay. It was worth it. A nice time. Now I'm going to stop talking to see if I can get this done before it gets dark. So thanks so much again for watching my videos every week and hanging out with me, and hope to see you again next week.